Hello, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Audible. Yes, sir.
Okay. Very good evening to all of you.
Sir,
I
very
think all of
good.
you are in the second semester. So I am Devidat Acharya, working as an assistant professor in BPUT, Odisha. So I have been assigned to teach you managerial economics. It's basically a very vast subject, but we'll try to cover all the aspects of it in these 10 classes that we have been assigned. So in a crispy way, I will tell you about all the details that are there in your syllabus. Although ma'am has not sent me the syllabus yet, but today I will start with an overview on the subject itself so that you can have a broad idea what subject you are going to be taught. Now, as you know, in business paradigm, the decision making is considered to be one of the predominant areas. And for taking any sorts of decision in business, it involves the application of some economic theories. Because without the application of economic theories, decisions cannot be taken in any business. And as you know, economics is a subject which is considered to be mother of all management subjects because the concepts that you read in almost all management subjects are basically derived from economics. That's why the subject of managerial economics is considered to be one of the important subjects for all the management students because the management students are supposed to work in corporates, work in different business organizations, and there they might be asked to take some decisions on behalf of the organization. So whenever you will be in a position to take some decisions for your organization, you will feel that how much important the subject of managerial economics was for you. So now to start with, we will just have an overview regarding the subject itself today. Then after we'll go on to discuss all other areas which are there in the syllabus. So I'm going to share something with you. We'll just go through that. We'll discuss in the due course of it. Is it visible to all of you?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, please can you enlarge it?
Now is it visible?
Yes.
So the first concept that we need to know what the subject is all about. Because before going to teach any subject or before going to have some sort of idea about any subject, we need to first of all understand what the subject is all about and what is the importance of the subject from the perspective of our course. Now, as all of you have enrolled yourself into the MBA course, you need to know why you need to be taught managerial economics, why you need to go through the subject of managerial economics, why it is important, particularly for the management students. Now, managerial economics consists of two things. One concept is your management, one concept is your economics. Management, as you know, is basically the guidance, the leadership, and the art of getting things done by other people. And therefore, in management, you need to work in a team. You cannot isolately do your work in management. If you are into management, you are supposed to be in a team, and it's a teamwork. Because whatever thing you do, it will have reflection on the team or on the organization as a whole. It doesn't affect only you, it will affect the organization as a whole. because on behalf of the organization, you are doing the work. On the other hand, if you look at the concept of economics, what economics is all about, we generally consider economics as a social science. What type of social science it is? It is a social science which is chiefly concerned with the way how a society uses its limited resources to produce goods and services in order to satisfy the needs and requirements of the people. So it involves three things. One is your production of goods and services. Why production of goods and services is required? Because goods and services will meet or will ultimately satisfy the needs and requirements of the consumers. That means whatever consumers want to consume, they can consume it either in the form of goods or in the form of services which are supposed to be produced. How the produced goods and services will be delivered to the consumers? Through some distribution channel. Therefore, all the concepts of marketing here, that means consumption, your production, and your distribution. You now find that these three concepts, which are largely being focused in the marketing subject, are actually derived from the subject of economics. So economics deals with these three areas. It deals with consumption, it deals with production, it deals with distribution also. Now, if you go on to align the concept of economics with the concept of management, it means you are going to use the economic theories or economic tools in management. For what purpose? For the purpose of taking some decisions. Decisions related to uh, decisions related to uh, the production of goods and services. Decisions related to the determination. Decisions related to the setting up of prices for the goods and services, decisions related to the provision of commissions or provision of remuneration for the distribution channel through which the produced goods and services will be delivered ultimately to the consumers, and also decision related to increasing the satisfaction level of the consumers. Therefore, in management, whatever actions you're supposed to take for all the decisions, you need to take help of economic theories or economic tools. And the concept of managerial economics is all about that. It generally entails the use of economic theories in managerial decision making. By using the economic theories, whatever you gain from studying the economic theories, you can use it while taking some decisions. Because ultimately, your decisions are supposed to be prudent decisions. It is supposed to help the organization as a whole. It's supposed to meet the needs and requirements as well as satisfy the interests of all the stakeholders of the organization. This is the reason why managerial economics is considered to be an important subject in the business studies or in management study. That's why here you can find that it is written that managerial economics is a subject which serves as a bridge between abstract economic concepts and real-time business practices. Abstract economic concepts means many economic theories are there which are based on certain assumptions. If you remove those assumptions, the theory doesn't have any value. Therefore, we consider the economic theory abstract theory, but those abstract economic concepts are having some impact, having some importance in the decision-making process, in the day-to-day business practices. That's why you need to align the abstract economic with the business practice. And this alignment can be done through the concept of managerial economics. Now we need to find out what is the basic nature of managerial economics. What sort of nature the subject of managerial economics does have? Now, if you look at the concept of economics or the subject of economics, it's a very vast subject. And we generally divide the subject of economics into two broader parts. One part is considered to be microeconomics, and another part is considered to be macroeconomics. Micro, as the word suggests, you can find that micro means tiny. Micro means small. So microeconomics basically deals with small economic entities or individual economic entities, like one person, one family, one organization, only one. But macro, on the other hand, means large. Macro means large. So macroeconomics considered with aggregate economics. Aggregate economics means it deals with aggregates. It deals with large economic entities. It deals with the organizations as a whole. That means the industry, the country as a whole. So macroeconomics is related to that. And both micro and macroeconomics have their impact on decision making. But largely, when you, as an employee of an organization, are supposed to take any decision, you are supposed to take the decision for your organization only, not for the industry as a whole. That's why, while taking some decisions in the capacity of a manager, in the capacity of a decision maker for an organization, you are supposed to use microeconomics largely, not macroeconomics. Because macroeconomics deals with aggregate economics or macroeconomics deals with larger economic entities. So related to the decisions pertaining to national income, pertaining to your investment decisions abroad, pertaining to the export and import activities, all such decisions, for all such decisions, you need to take the help of macroeconomics. But when for an organization, being a decision maker, being a manager, you are supposed to take some decisions. You are largely using the microeconomic concepts. That's why we can say that managerial economics, by and large, by nature, is microeconomics. So it is microeconomic in nature because it focuses more on the individual company level decisions or on the individual farm level decisions. Decisions related to pricing of the good produced by the farm or produced by the company. Decisions related to the quantity of outputs to be produced by the farm itself or by the company itself. Decisions related to the uh, maintenance of cost while producing the goods because you know that cost is an integral part of any business and every business need to uh, um, actually reduce cost as much as possible. With low cost, the companies always want to produce more. For any sorts of activities, all the companies on an individual level try to bear less cost so that their ultimate objective of maximization of profit can be attained. So that's why whenever as as a decision maker on behalf of a farm or on behalf of an organization, you are supposed to take a decision, you rely more on microeconomic terms rather than on macroeconomic terms. That's why we can say that by studying managerial economics, we can have largely some idea about the microeconomic terms, and it will ultimately help us to take some decisions for our organization for which we are working, for which we are being assigned to take some decisions. So decisions related to price, decision related to cost, decision related to output, all such decisions are supposed to be taken by you on behalf of the organization for which you are working. And that's why in taking those decisions or while taking those decisions, we need to apply more microeconomic terms. If you look at the example which has been given here, we can say that we all are acquainted with the Ola Uber cabs. So I have taken that example how Ola cabs adjust fares based on peak hour demand arising using the price elasticity of demand concept. So in the microeconomic tools, we'll go through the analysis of demand. And in demand analysis, there is a concept elasticity of demand. So we largely use that demand analysis as well as the elasticity of demand concept, particularly for setting the prices of our goods. And in this case, Uber basically goes on to charge higher prices when it finds that the demand for it is more. If demand for it is more, then they can go on to charge higher price because they know that demand is more. People will definitely pay as much as we ask them to pay because it is their demand, it is their requirement, it is needed to be fulfilled, so we can charge more prices. But when the demand is supposed to be slack, when the demand is supposed to be less, they can charge less prices. So you can find that during peak seasons, during peak hours, during peak times, the Ola cabs generally charge higher price as compared to the off-peak time. The second nature is that managerial economics by nature is normative as well as pragmatic. Normative means managerial economics provides a theoretical blending. It provides the theoretical significance, what ought to be, what
Sir, your
ought
slide
to
is
be
moving or
the decision. No, my slide is not moving.
yeah.
It is not visible to you.
It is visible, but it is
Okay.
static.
Again
No,
reconnect.
it's not moving, it's static. So normative means the theoretical blending. So managerial economics as a subject provides theoretical blending to the decision making process. That means you can have a theoretical insight while taking the decision, what sort of impact it will have. So you can theorize that. Pragmatic means also has some practical implications, practical feasibility. Whether the theory that you are supposed to use for the decision, whether it will be practically feasible or not, that thing is also being taken care of by the subject of managerial economics. That's why we say that by nature it is both normative as well as pragmatic. So normative and pragmatic nature of managerial economics recommends that the decisions which are supposed to be taken by using the managerial economic concepts are ultimately result in an optimal decision. And at the same time, it will also ensure the practical feasibility. Optimal decision means the decision which will ultimately help the organization as a whole. The optimal decision means the decision which can lead to the well-being of all the stakeholders. And at the same time, whatever decisions you are taking, basing upon the economic theories, because we have already pointed out that the economic concepts are supposed to be abstract concepts. So by using those abstract concepts, whatever decisions you are taking, it is both optimal as well as practically feasible. So it ensures practicality also. Here I have also taken the example, suppose there is a bank which wants to open more branches. So it's a theoretical blending. The bank is thinking of opening new branches in different parts of the country. But for opening of branches, it requires more funds. So whether that much of fund is available with the bank or not, if not, then from where the bank will get that, whether there is any source of funding or not. So that thing has to be taken care of while taking the decision. You cannot blindly take a decision if you are working in a bank and if you are in a position to take a decision to open new branches for the bank. You cannot blindly take the decision. At the time of taking the decision, you need to take into consideration the budget of the bank. So budget constraints are also there. Therefore, if a bank suppose wants to open new branches, but there is a budget constraint, the funds which are required to open a number of branches is not there in the hand of the bank, then the bank can think of reaching the people through digital banking. So pragmatic solution is that you go for digital banking. That's why the example says that a bank may want to open more branches, but budget constraints make it out for digital banking. So theoretical blending is there, as well as the practical feasibility is also there. So the concept of managerial economics allows both theoretical blending as well as practical feasibility. Then the third nature of managerial economics is that by nature, the subject of managerial economics is decision oriented. As we have already pointed out that it is a subject which uses the or which applies the economic theories in decision making process. So ultimately, the subject of managerial economics helps in taking the optimal decisions or helps in taking the decisions for the organization as a whole. So decision oriented. By nature, the subject of managerial economics is decision oriented because it focuses solely on the optimal decision making process which are against some constraints or under some constraints. Suppose we are very much familiar with all such online shopping um, mm, organizations like Amazon, like Myntra. Suppose Amazon decide warehouse locations based on logistic cost analysis. So warehouse are supposed to be present in almost all part of the country so that the delivery can be more convenient and more fast. Because the fast you serve the customers requirement, the customer will be more happy with you. But you cannot blindly open the warehouses. For that, budget is also required. So warehouse locations, regarding the warehouse locations, if you want to take some decisions, it has to be based on logistic cost analysis. What will be the cost of logistics? If logistic cost will exceed, then there is no point in opening more and more warehouse in different locations of the country. So that's why, by nature, the subject of managerial economics is decision oriented. Then another nature is that managerial economics is not solely dependent on economics. It is not dependent only on one subject of economics. It applies the economic theory, but along with economic theory, it also takes into consideration certain other subjects, like the subjects of finance, like the subjects of statistics, like the subjects of operation management, operation research, like the subject of psychology, because nowadays the psychology is much more used in finding out the behavioral pattern of the consumers. So managerial economics as a subject is considered to be a combination of a number of subjects. So this is a subject which is considered to be a multidisciplinary subject. It doesn't solely depend upon a single subject of economics. It takes into consideration economics, and along with economics, it also takes into consideration the different perspectives of psychology, different perspectives of finance, different perspectives of law, different perspectives of accounting, different perspectives of statistics, different perspectives of operation research. Okay, so it's a multidisciplinary subject. By nature, it is multidisciplinary. Nowadays, you can find that data analytics have largely been used or are largely being used in different organizations. We are having different streaming organizations like Netflix. So Netflix basically combines data analytics and economics to predict customer preferences and decides on original content production. So without knowing what the consumer wants, you cannot produce goods. So to know what the consumer requires, what is the need of the consumer, you need to have some research. And for that, you need to take into consideration economic theory. And along with economic theory, you also need to have, have the backing of certain data for which you need to use the data analytics. So data analytics nowadays is largely being used by almost all the organizations in every sector of business. So here we have given the example that Netflix as a streaming organization, it uses the data analytics along with economics to find out the expectations of the consumer And as per the expectation of the consumer, it comes out with some original contents. So you can find that if you look at the nature of managerial economics, you can find that it is microeconomics by nature largely. It is normative as well as pragmatic by nature. By nature, it is decision oriented, and by nature, it is multidisciplinary. Clear? Now we need to understand what are the core concepts which are used in managerial economics. There are certain concepts which we largely use while taking the decisions by using the economic tools. So here we need to be familiar with those core concepts because in almost all decisions, these core concepts are supposed to be used. And we need to be familiar with that from the beginning. The first one is your opportunity cost. Opportunity cost means the cost for the next best alternative use. You can have an idea regarding the resources. Every organization or every individual, they have certain resources at their disposal. Even you can think of an economy, it is having some resources at its disposal. And resources are there to be used for production purposes. Production doesn't mean only the production of visible goods or tangible goods and services. You can use the resources for some production purposes. But the irony of the fact is that the resources that are at the disposal of economic entities, which means either at the disposal of the individuals or at the disposal of a family or at the disposal of a company or a farm or at the disposal of an industry or even at the disposal of a government. The resources are supposed to be limited by nature. They are limited by nature. That means the resources are not infinite. They are finite by nature. They are limited by nature. And it is up to the user of the resources that they need to use the resources in an optimal manner so that by using less resources, they can produce more. Secondly, the resources are having some costs being attached to it. That means the resources is not available freely. The resources, for the resources, you need to pay something. Thirdly, the resources are not supposed to be used for only one purpose. It is supposed to be used for varied purposes, for many purposes. So, when taking some decisions for an organization, you need to identify that the resources you are going to use for the decision, for what other purposes they can be used, and whether by using the resources in other purposes, you will get more benefit or not. So ultimately, when you are supposed to take a decision for which you are supposed to use some resources, you need to ensure that by using those resources for that particular purpose, for that particular decision, you are supposed to derive the maximum benefit possible. You cannot derive more benefits by using the resources for any other purposes. That is the concept of opportunity cost. That is the cost for the next best alternative use. So opportunity cost concept indicates that you need to choose one alternative over another. Because as a decision maker, you are being exposed to many alternatives. There are different ways through which a decision can be taken. But ultimately, you have to pin down only on one alternative. So whatever alternative you are supposed to accept ultimately or finally, you need to ensure that for that alternative, whatever resources you are using, those resources are going to fetch you the maximum benefit possible. So suppose a company investing in AI development may defer expansion into new regions. A company wants to invest in artificial intelligence wants to develop artificial intelligence, so it doesn't need to enter into new regions because through artificial intelligence, it can identify what particular regions are there where it can do its business and gain the maximum benefit. So the concept of opportunity cost is important from the point of view of managerial economics is that because whenever we are supposed to take any decision, we are being confronted with the concept of opportunity cost. Because for whatever decisions we are supposed to take, and for that decision, whatever resources we are going to use, we need to ensure that the resources to be used for our own purpose or for the purpose which we have identified is going to derive the maximum benefit possible. Second, core concept which is being used in managerial economics is the concept of marginal analysis. So whenever you are taking some decisions, you know that it has its impact on different variables. So you need to examine what would be the impact of a small change in the decision on the organization as a whole. Suppose we have a cafeteria, we have a coffee house, so we have a cyber cafe. Suppose a cafe analyzing the benefit of hiring one more barista during peak hours. Barista, you know that it's a form of coffee. So during peak hours, they suppose need to introduce another form of barista. What
Sir, what is the
impact?
meaning of that barrister?
Barista is a form of coffee. If you go to any coffee house, they can offer you with barista. It's a premium coffee uh,
Excuse
form.
me, sir. Barista is the person who serves coffee.
Huh? Huh? Barista.
Barista is the person who serves the coffee, who
Yes,
makes and
sir. Yes,
serves
sir.
the coffee.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sorry. So suppose during peak hours, it means that more number of consumers will come to the coffee house, and one person is required. One more barista is required to serve the people. We need more number of people, serve more number of people with more number of coffees. So suppose that sort of decision is supposed to be taken. What impact it will have on the cost? Because by hiring one more barista, you need to pay the barista the remuneration that it is supposed to get. That's why while taking that decision, you need to take into consideration the cost aspect also. If you are paying him 100 rupees and in return if you are getting less than 100 rupees during the peak hour, then it is not a good decision to hire a barista. If you find that, yes, during peak hours, the number of footfalls into the cafeteria or into the coffee house will be more, and it will generate more amount of money for the coffee shop, then you can think of hiring a barista. Third factor is your elasticity of demand. Elasticity means what? Elasticity means easy contraction or easy expansion. If you can easily expand an object or if you can easily contract an object, then the object is supposed to be an elastic object. Here we are talking about the elasticity of demand. That means easy expansion of demand or easy contraction of demand. So generally, the demand for goods goes on changing with the change in different variables. The variables might be the price of the product, might be in the form of taste and preferences of the consumer, might be in the form of income of the consumer, might be in the form of prices of the related goods, might be in the form of advertisement expenditures like that. So you need to understand what impact it will have if there occurs a change in the price of the good on the demand for the good. You need to understand what impact it will have when there occurs a change in the taste and preferences of the consumer on the demand for the goods by those consumers. You need to understand what impact it will have when there occurs a change in the prices of the related products on the demand for one particular product. By related product, I mean the complementary products or the substitute products. You know that in today's market, you can find substitutes of almost all the products. And If any change occurs in the prices of the substitutes, it will definitely have its impact on the demand for the original product or for the other product. That's why the concept of elasticity of demand is considered to be much more important in the decision-making process, because the concept of elastic demand will ultimately help you to take proper pricing decisions. Without having the analysis of elasticity of demand as a decision maker, you cannot take a proper pricing decision. So generally, the elasticity of demand measures the consumer responsiveness to price changes. Suppose, and the elasticity of demand is generally being measured in two ways. Either the goods can have inelastic demand or it can have elastic demand. Inelastic means it is not responding to the variables. Suppose the demand for a product is not responding to the change in price. So there's, in that case, you can say that the product is having a price inelastic demand. If you go on to change the price of the product, there is no such impact on the demand for the product. If the price increases, the demand doesn't decrease. If the price decreases, the demand doesn't increase. It remains the same. Similarly, if the income of the consumer changes and the consumer doesn't have any change in its demand uh, conditions or demand situations, then also you can say that demand for those goods are considered to be inelastic. Elastic means if the product, the demand for a particular product is responsive to the changes in variables which affect the demand for the product, then the demand for that product is considered to be elastic. So you need to understand whether your product, the product that you are dealing with, the product your organization is dealing with, whether the product is having an elastic demand or an inelastic demand. Because on that basis, it will be easier on your part to take proper pricing decisions. And accordingly, you can find that depending on elasticity, the prices also differ. You can find uh, there are certain times where there is a huge demand for a particular product. Suppose during the rainy season, there is a huge demand for umbrellas. You can find that during that season, the price of umbrella goes up. But in other seasons, if you go on to purchase an umbrella, it will cost you less. Similarly, during the summer season, the prices of the beverages, cold drinks, or something else like that, you can find that they are being priced at a higher level as compared to other seasons. The elasticity concept is also largely used in modern days in the form of a discriminatory pricing or in the form of a discriminatory pricing. It means that depending upon the elasticity of demand for the product among different individuals, they are being charged differently by the company for a particular product. That means you can charge different prices for the same product uh, to different buyers. Suppose take the case of a multiplex. In the morning, when shows are going on, you can find that the prices of the ticket are very less. But in the by the time evening comes, in the evening shows, the prices of ticket goes up. Similarly, during summer season, if you want to go to a hill station, want to book a hotel there, so they can charge you more. But during fall season or during the winter seasons or rainy seasons, it will cost you less. So depending upon the elasticity of demand, the price also varies. So you need to understand the responsiveness of demand to changes in the variables which affect the demand for the product, for which you need to go through the concept of elasticity of demand. So the elasticity of demand is considered to be one of the major core concepts of managerial economics. Clear?
Sir, can you explain the elasticity of demand once again?
We'll explain it in detail in the next classes because we'll go to discuss about the demand analysis in detail. So there I will explain you about the concept elasticity. But for the time being, you just understand that elasticity is a concept. Elasticity of demand is a concept which measures the responsiveness of demand for a particular product to the changes in the variables which affect the demand for the product. The variables can either be in the form of the price of the product or in the form of the taste and preferences of the consumer or in the form of the income of the consumer or in the form of the prices of related products or in the form of the advertisement expenditures. Yeah. Another concept related to the demand analysis, which is also considered to be one of the core concepts of managerial economics, is the demand forecasting. Forecasting, as you know, is basically considered to be in the form of a prediction. And for future, you need to predict. If you are working in an organization, the organization always thinks of the future because no organization wants to stop its business within a specified time period. It wants to continue over a period of time. So for that, the forecasting is highly important. And demand forecasting helps the decision maker in estimating the future demand. How they can estimate the future demand? For estimating the future demand, they need to take into consideration certain data, certain historical data, and certain real-time data. And by doing the analysis of those data, you can estimate the demand for the future. So demand forecasting is also one of the major areas in the demand analysis. We'll go on to discuss that in the coming classes. So that demand forecasting is also important concept in the managerial economics. Suppose a fast-moving consumer good company is there, which is predicting product sales during festive seasons using AI and machine learning. So, as you know, the concept of AI and machine learning have largely been evolved in the recent years. So, by using AI, they can properly estimate what would be the likely future demand for their product. Suppose they want to estimate the demand for their product in the coming festive seasons. So by using AI, they can have a real-time assessment of the future demand. And basing on that, they can plan for their production. They can plan how they will go on to sell that number of products. Then another core concept in the decision making process is the cost analysis. As you know, cost is considered to be one of the integral part of the decision making process because whatever decisions for an organization we take, it generally involves some costs. The cost can either be in the form of monetary cost or in the form of real cost. So without having cost analysis, no proper decisions can be taken in an organization. Therefore, when we go for analyzing the cost, we need to know about the different types of costs. The cost can either be in the form of fixed cost or in the form of variable cost. And sometimes there is a concept of marginal cost, which is utmost important for decision making process. So we need to understand the concepts of fixed cost, the concept of variable cost, the concept of marginal cost for any kind of decisions that we are supposed to take for the organization as a whole. So what these costs are all about, we'll go on to discuss that while discussing the production and cost analysis in the coming classes. The last one is your pricing decisions. This is also one of the core concepts in the decision making process. It is a core concept of managerial economics because you know that ultimately it all rests with the price. At what price you will sell your product, that will fetch you certain revenue. What amount of revenue you are expecting to get from the selling? For that, you need to have appropriate pricing for your product. So the pricing decision is also one of the major concepts in the decision making process. That's why we consider the pricing decision as a core concept in the managerial economics subject. Uh, and the pricing decision, whenever you are going to decide about the price for a product, you need to take into consideration the cost aspect, the demand aspect, the competition aspect, and the objectives into consideration. What objectives you have set, whether the objective is to maximize profit or to maximize sales, uh, what sort of competition you are being faced with, depending on that, you will ultimately decide about the price. You cannot blindly set the price for your product because, as I have already pointed out, that nowadays you can find that almost all the products are having their substitute products being available in the market. That's why you, as an organization, when you are dealing in any product, you ensure that you are being faced with stiff competition. There are a number of competitors of yours who are also coming out with similar type of product, which are in the form of substitutes to your product. So any decision that you will take will definitely have its impact on the demand for the substitute products. You cannot blindly take the decision regarding price without or by ignoring the competitions that you are being faced with. You need to take into consideration the competition also while taking the pricing decisions. And at the same time, as we have already pointed out while discussing about the elastic demand, the demand also is needed to be taken into account when deciding about the price. If you identify that the demand for a product is more, you can charge more prices because you know that people want the product more. So whatever price they are ready to pay, whatever price you will charge. So there you can charge more prices. But if you identify that the demand for your product is slack, you need to increase the demand for your product. And for that, you need to reduce the price. So there the pricing strategy will be different completely. So depending upon the demand condition, the pricing strategies change and accordingly the pricing decisions change. Therefore, the pricing decision depends on many factors like cost, demand, competition, and also the objectives. Therefore, while taking the decisions related to the pricing of your product, you need to be more cautious and you need to take into consideration all these areas, all these aspects. Without considering the cost, without considering the demand, without considering the competition, without considering the objectives, you cannot take proper pricing decisions. So whenever pricing decisions are to be taken, it is to be taken prudently by using all these aspects which have some sort of impact on the pricing decision of a product. So these are some of the core concepts of managerial economics, which throughout we'll go through because whenever we'll go to the demand analysis, you will study the elasticity of demand, you will study the demand forecasting. When going through the production analysis, you will go through the cost analysis also. While going through the market structure, you will go through the pricing strategies or pricing decisions like that. Now comes, we generally talk about the subject of managerial economics. So every subject has certain goals or certain objectives. What sort of objectives the subject of managerial economics does have? With what objective the subject of managerial economics have been developed? Why we have integrated the concepts of management along with the economic theories or economic tools to devise the subject of managerial economics. So if you look at the objectives of managerial economics, you can find that managerial economics helps in taking rational decisions. So for the purpose of rational decision making,
किसको
दुकान भेज दिए
क्यों
तो दुकान से
please mute yourself. Mute yourself.
ସେ ଅଛି ମୋ ଲିଟିଲ ଫ୍ରେଣ୍ଡ ଧନ ବି ମୋର
Mute yourself.
Mute yourself, please.
Please mute yourself. So while talking about the objectives of managerial economics, we can find that managerial economics helps in taking rational decisions. By rational decisions, we mean decisions which ultimately help all the stakeholders for, for whom the decisions are supposed to be taken. If it is an organization, it should be the stakeholders of the all the stakeholders of the organization. If it is a family, it should be the stakeholders of family. So for purpose of rational decision-making process, manual economics is highly important, and the objective of the subject of manual economics is to ensure rational decision, is to ensure that ultimately rational decisions will be. Hello, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Sir, audible now.
Yes, sir.
କଟିଗଲା ହଠାତ୍ ତ ସେଥିପାଇଁ ଜାଣିପାରିଲିନି। The second objective is basically the future planning and forecasting. We have gone through the demand forecasting concept. So forecasting itself indicates that it's an estimation for the future, and estimation itself indicates the planning. So for planning purposes or for future forecasting purposes, the manual economics is supposed to be much more helpful. So the objective of studying manual economics is that to help decision makers in uh, proper future planning and proper forecasting of the product. The next one is your profit planning and control. As we have already pointed out that cost analysis is one of the important aspects of decision making process. It is one of the core concepts of decision making process. So our objective is to maximize the profit of the organization as a whole. You know that for any organization, the major objective is the maximization of profit. So how profit can be maximized? For that you need to plan properly, and at the same time, for for ensuring the profit maximization, you need to have cost controlling measures. So profit planning and control is considered to be one of the objectives of managerial economics. Then optimal resource allocation. As I have pointed out, that resources which are at the disposal of the economic entities, whether individual or aggregate economic entities, since the resources are limited by nature, since the resources are supposed to be used for varied purposes, so the limited resources are supposed to be used optimally. So one of the major uh, things which are supposed to be done by the decision makers while taking some decisions related to the use of resources is that they need to ensure that the resources are being used optimally so that they can provide the maximum result either in the form of output or in the form of sale or in the form of profit or in the form of revenue. So optimal resource allocation, because the limited resources need to be allocated optimally so that they can provide us with the maximum result that we desire. The next objective is to analyze the risk, and after analyzing the risk, we need to come out with certain measures to mitigate this, to remove those risks. But every decision is supposed to be exposed on risk. And with the help of manual economics, we can analyze what sort of risk to which the decisions are being exposed to. And if we can analyze the risks to which the decisions are being exposed to, we can come out with certain measures through which we can mitigate the risk. So risk analysis and mitigation is also one of the objectives of uh, managerial economics. So these are some of the objectives of managerial economics. Now coming to relevance of managerial economics in today's market or in today's economy or in today's world, we can say that whatever decisions are being taken nowadays because of the maximum use of data analytics, most of the decisions are supposed to be data driven decisions. no subjective decisions are taken, no decisions are taken by taking into consideration only the qualitative factors. Some data are required. Even with the help of data analytics, you can have a thematic analysis of the qualitative data. Qualitative data, you know that they are not in the form of quantitative data. They are not in the form of certain mathematical data. They are in the form of certain subjective data, like whether the customers require a new color to the product or not. So they can say it either in the form of yes or no. Similarly, they can rate a product from a scale of 1 to 5 or in the form of very good, bad, best, like this. So these are some of the qualitative data. Those qualitative data nowadays, with the help of data analytics, can be converted into a thematic analysis through which some coding can be given, and accordingly, the codes can be analyzed by using the software. So nowadays, the managerial economics have become more data driven. Earlier, it was not happening, but with the advent of data analytics, with the advent of new technologies, uh, the decisions nowadays are much more data-driven decisions. So that is why the relevance of managerial economics is there in today's market. Similarly, managers use economics plus analytics for actionable insights. So they generally take into consideration the economic theories, economic tools, and along with that, they also take into consideration the business analytics or the decision sciences or this or the data analytics to come out with certain actionable insights. Second relevance of managerial economics in today's world is that globalization and competition. More competition is there, and we are now living in a globalized world. So it requires firms to be cost efficient and innovation driven because we need to produce with less cost, and how the costs can be more efficient, or how efficiently we can use the cost, that is to be seen by the organization. And along with that, they also have to come out with some innovative products because competition is more. They need to come out with uh, innovative products, innovative ideas, which can attract more customers towards them. Similarly, the economy has moved into a digital economy. Therefore, new business models like platforms, gig economy require new decision approaches. So these are some of the relevance of managerial economics in today's world. Now, coming to the conclusion, you can find that uh, generally the concept of managerial economics. uh, I'm just coming to that. Managerial economics helps in logical thinking. Managerial economics takes into consideration certain quantitative tools also. So only not by using the economical theories the decisions are taken. Rather, along with economic theories, certain quantitative tools are also being used. And managerial economics helps in achieving strategic insights. Strategic means long term. So for long-term uh, purposes, the organization need to take use of the concept of managerial economics, take the help of the subject of managerial economics. So this is all about an overview regarding the subject. From this, you can find that there are different angles of managerial economics, which we'll discuss in due course of time. So tomorrow we'll start with the demand analysis itself because that is one part of microeconomics which is considered to be the major aspect in the decision making process. And in the demand analysis, we'll go through the concept of demand, the concept of elasticity of demand, and demand forecasting. These three are most important in the demand analysis. Then another component of the managerial economics is your production and cost analysis. That thing we'll also discuss. How production takes place, what are the things which are required for production purposes. And since cost is complementary to production, we also need to have some idea about the cost analysis. Then we'll move to the market analysis, where we'll go on to discuss about the different market structures, different types of markets, and related to the different types of market, how the pricing decisions are taken, what sort of pricing strategies are there, we're going to discuss about it. So these are the some of the areas which we'll discuss in the coming days. I think it will be of more interest to you because this is a subject which is considered to be one of the integral subjects in today's business world. Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Thank you all
Yes,
for
sir.
your kind
Sir,
cooperation.
can you share, any
I will,
probable question?
yes, yes. At the end of the session, I will give it to you because we have 7 classes online and 3 classes offline. So when the 7th class will be there in the online mode, I will provide you the questions, possible questions. The fact
Okay.
is that I have not yet received your syllabus from ma'am. Ma'am will provide me the syllabus tomorrow. So basing on that syllabus, I will prepare the questions and send it to you. You
It
don't
is
worry
there.
about that.
We have received syllabus.
I have not received it. I'm saying that I have not received the syllabus. So ma'am will send it to me tomorrow. And by going through the syllabus, then I will prepare it, prepare the questions, possible questions, I will give it to you. And if you require any notes, I will also provide it to you. Also.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir. Good night. Good night.
Thank you, sir. Have a good day, sir. Good night, sir.
My pleasure. Thank you.